Has there ever been a time where you thought about quitting or giving up?
Oh yeah, um I used to try to be like, nah, I'm never gonna be that guy. Like I'm never gonna want to quit, never gonna give up. Man, as soon as I would say as soon as that transition from college to really being a full-time artist, that was when it was like, all right, wow, this is kind of a lot more challenging than I thought it was gonna be, you know? And I would say a lot of the times when we have ideas or thoughts of giving up, it just comes from either a gray area or a very uncomfortable position. And I always recall my personal experiences whenever my reality was like hitting me in the face harder than my dream was. That's usually when I'm the most uncomfortable because it's like, how am I still supposed to aspire toward my dream when my reality is stating one thing?
Right, right.
It's very difficult because we live in the now, but we're trying to live for the future. But when you're now, it's like, yo, like we got this, and this. You're like, all right, man, maybe I might have to pause right here. But
Yeah.
I've learned in those moments that's really when you have to really step up to the plate and be like, I'm going to overcome whatever obstacles or whatever I got going on in my reality, so that way I can really execute what I need to execute to live my dreams. But yeah, I've definitely had my share of wanting to give up of low moments, and I'm sure I'll probably have more. But fortunately, I think by nature I'm a very resilient type of guy, very optimistic, so I don't ever like stay down too long. You know, but yeah.
That's good, man. I'm glad to hear everything's going well. Um, yeah. So earlier we talked about performing. Do you have like a tour list or anywhere we can get some of the listeners
It's
out to come
it's
see you?
it's forthcoming, but I definitely know that the cities Jacksonville, Nashville, um, of course Carolina, that's my hometown, and it's looking like I believe Philly. Those cities are confirmed. We're just getting like dates and stuff together.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mean so when you say North Carolina, you mean like Charlotte, or are you talking about like all over North Carolina?
I'm really trying to get like Raleigh, Durham,
Right.
Charlotte, and some other cities too.
I love Raleigh Durham.
Yeah,
But I'll come check you
yeah,
out in Charlotte too if you perform in Charlotte. I mean, I'm sure you will. That's the hometown. That's the home base.
yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, man. Um, so we talked earlier about like things that would like make you want to quit or give up or anything. But I'm sure there might even been times during this album process that those situations might have happened. Were there any frustrations that you had? Working with like a much bigger team than I'm sure you had in the past, working with producers, working in the studio. Were there any, can you comment on some of the frustrations you might have had?
Yeah, there are a lot of frustrations when um, you have your own vision, and when you begin to invite people that believe in what you're doing. I think by default, you have to accept the reality that you have to consider their opinions. Not that you have to accept them, not that you have to agree with them, but you have to consider them. When you have a team, to some degree, you chose to have these people that endorse you because you value what they bring to the table.
Right.
And a lot of times that comes with, hard conversations. I can even recall from the order of the songs. That was somewhat an obstacle we had to overcome because a few people felt like the order should be this. I felt like the order should be that. But I think when those different obstacles or challenges arise, you kind of always have to say, okay, what is really the weight of this, and how can we come to a compromise? You know,
Right.
and I think just because you have challenges, I don't think all challenges are meant to be detrimental or to be so negative. I think that some challenges are good because it really makes you think twice. It makes you really, really strive for the best option as a team, which that's another thing that I learned. Though it is my brand, my music that is the main priority, I have to also be mindful of the people working with me. Perhaps parts of what they see could really help tailor a piece of me to make it the best version of the Keeyen Martin brand, you know?
Right.
So there were a few challenges, I would say, from definitely I remember the order of the songs, but really when it came to the music, I was fortunate that that wasn't too much of a clash. I would say the only thing was probably picking which records we want to be like the songs to push the radio. But I'm really grateful. Like there weren't any very, 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 very like just difficult challenges where it was like a stalemate situation, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So when it came to the process of making the album, like how did that typically go about? Like you just made a bunch of songs and then picked, or you were like, okay, the album's going to be this many, and I just pick. You just make like 10 songs or something like that, or how does that go down?
Well, I with my producer, I would just regularly get up with him like twice a week, and one session would just be solely creative, where we're creating the track. So I would come to him with ideas or sounds, and we would create the track. And then the next session that week, I would just record the whole song. So,
Who's your producer?
his name is Scotty Glaze, a super
Okay.
dope guy. He's actually from Durham, North Carolina, as
Okay.
well, but he lives here in Atlanta. And um, the main creative process, I mean, we met twice a week, and we really, really chiseled out songs. It was never like a chart where, hey, I want to do like 12 records, and nah, we just freely created. We went with the vibe, and went with the flow, and before we knew it, I had like a slew of songs, and I'm like, okay, yo, how am I gonna pick a specific amount of songs for the EP? So,
Okay. So
yeah.
what's going to be happening with those extra songs? Other projects in the future, unreleased, or
I would, yeah, I definitely want to just, be spontaneous and drop some records like that. That's one thing that I love. I'm a huge Drake fan, and I love how it's like, man, Drake randomly can just release something and it's hot. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, just me personally, because I'm a fan. I don't recall a record of Drake's. It may not have been my absolute favorite, but it's like he just really gets music. His vibe, his style, like what he creates is generally dope. And I wanna pull from that if I may. Just so if you create something that's dope, don't just hold on to it forever. Surprise people sometimes.
Right.
And so yeah, those other songs will definitely be released now in the form of one full project themselves. Probably not. They may be like pieces of other projects or just individual singles, but I definitely want to share them.
All right, that's good to hear, man. Don't let that good work go to waste.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Can't do that.
um, yeah. So, was there anything else that any other project, or I mean, I know you just released this one. Anything else you got coming up in the future? I know you have your YouTube channel still. What's the direction of that going to be like going forward?
Well, definitely with my web series that I did, KM Pieces, which really began as an introspective look into my life as an artist, as a person. I really am wanting to, probably going into the new year, I'm working on a series that's more on unplugged performances. So you'll be seeing a lot of me performing on YouTube this go round, still with the interpersonal
Uh,
conversations. But I really want to do some unplugged versions of a lot of the songs on the EP, as well as some full live performances of the songs verbatim as they sound on the EP.
oh man, that'd be
Um,
awesome.
Thank you,
That'd
and
be awesome. Yeah.
yeah, and I think now it's like people have gotten introduced to me. Okay, now let's really bring it back, putting emphasis on the performer. So,
Right. It sounds like you have a true passion for performing, man. I gotta come out to one of your shows.
yeah, I mean, I have a good time, and I think now it's so cool because I feel from people they attend my performances expecting it to be a good show because they've attended some in the past. And they're like, yo, Keeyen puts on a good show, you know,
Right.
and that's such an amazing feeling as a new and rising performer, where people are looking to you or they're automatically equating you to being a great performer, because that's one thing I think that attracts me to so many, as we call them, old school artists. I like to call them like classic artists. um, they were great performers, and when they do shows now, it's like, man, I gotta get a ticket, I gotta go because I know the show is gonna be dope.
Right.
And
And that oftentimes takes the music to a whole nother level. You get a whole new appreciation for the artists after you see them perform.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So that's good stuff you got going on here. Um, where can the people find you? I know I mentioned your YouTube channel.
Hmm.
What about social media? Why don't you tell us your social media again? We'll put the links in the description there as we always do. Um,
Yeah, sure. Social media is pretty easy. It's my first and last name, Keeyen, at Keeyen Martin, KeeyenMartin on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube. My website is KeeyenMartin.com. Um, it's a lot out there. Snapchat at Keeyen Martin. And I would say I love Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook. They kind of all take turns of what's my favorite.
uh huh.
But I like those because they're pretty easy and they're the most interactive, as far as popularity right now. But yeah, hit me up on all of those because I'm always on my social media.